I were to ask you the question right now, what is marketing? What do you think your response would be? Obviously, I'm kind of setting this up here because I have genuinely asked this question of many, many people before. And the most common answers that I get are things like getting your name out there, building a brand, and building awareness. Now, if I then ask the question, okay, well, what is the purpose of marketing? The purpose of marketing is to get more customers, clients, patients, donors, depending on what industry you're in. Obviously, for you, it's clients. Now, this is, to me, conflict. Why are those two answers different? If the thing that marketing supposedly is, of getting your name out there, isn't the same thing that it's supposed to do, which is to get you clients, what's the disconnect? And the disconnect is in this weird miasma that lives between those two spaces that is an aura of mysticism surrounding marketing. And I think that marketers have arguably done the best job at perpetuating this whole idea of marketing being a mystical art form, when in fact, great marketing is scientific in nature. Great marketing is, there is a hypothesis that is tracked and tested and retested until we come to the proper conclusion, which of course for you, the proper conclusion is more clients. So how do we get out of this mysticism that is happening? So first, let's think about the getting our name out there idea, the building awareness. So my issue right here, frankly, is that all of that is so soft. That name stuff, I want people to know my name. Why is that so important? I'd make the argument it's an ego thing. It's the equivalent of mom putting the picture that you drew up on the refrigerator. You know, it's nice, but it's certainly not being entered in a competition. But at least we know, hey, we've done something, right? And someone's recognizing it. On the other hand, if we look marketing strictly as getting more clients, we have to scoop out just a whole bunch of that mysticism and get a little bit more raw about how we handle our marketing. It can no longer be, well, let's track impressions. It has to be, oh, let's track conversions. And I think in law in particular, it's a profession that helps people. What you do is good work, and you're fortunate in that. You have a practice that does good work for people. It helps people out in a time of need. And because of that whole Atticus Finch sort of mythology surrounding all of it, you always want to just put forward good vibes. And this good vibes end up being translated a lot of times through the prism of other attorneys. So we want to look professional to other attorneys. We want to appear within the standard for other attorneys. We don't want to upset the natural balance of what's going on with other law firms in our community or even across the nation. And what they're doing is just more versions of getting their name out there. Still today, so much marketing spend for law firms comes from the viewpoint that was kind of established back, 70s, 80s, 90s. Really, it starts to heat up. Late 80s, prominent yellow pages advertising, big buys of TV commercials. Really, you see a lot more law firms entering the space aggressively, and this is pre-internet advertising. And still that mentality of buy as much space as possible prevails to this very day, even though we have the tools to come at it from the other direction, which is, okay, let's go and find where our ideal clients are. Let's target them specifically for a message that is precisely about them and their needs, and then find a way to fulfill one of their needs right now to solve an existing problem. Then now you have a lead and follow up with that lead. But again, that follow-up process, we start getting into this area of sales. And sales, this hard feature of sales, this rock, this boulder, collides with this aura of mysticism, and people want to take sides on it. They want to believe that the brand that they have built is enough on its own. But look at any major brand. Some brands, yes, they do have loyalists in a way. Best example, Apple. You can't see it right now, but off to the side, there's a bunch of Apple devices. I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, I have a MacBook Pro. I have other iPads at home that have been accumulated over the years. I am definitely a loyalist to that brand. However, The first purchase that I made from Apple was not just because of the Apple brand alone. It was because of some of the specs and software that it could run. It was looking around the industry at what other people were using and wanting to use that as well. I saw other marketers and media people using MacBooks, and I looked online why they would review them so well. And that's what got me invested in the Mac platform, in the Apple platform. And then it carried from there. So the brand carried from there, but it wasn't the thing that got me in up front. Or you think about even a car that you may purchase. These days, when you buy a car and you go through an online source that'll deliver the car to your house, it's the brand loyalty isn't the same as it used to be. People are looking for a car that hits the things that make their life better. How seamless is it to connect my phone to the audio system? How does this make a long drive down to the beach much, much easier for me and my family? How much storage does it have? Because I'm not only going to try and stuff suitcases back there, I'm going to try and get a dog into the back of my car as well, and I need to know how much space. It's all about the convenience factor for my life. I don't care if it's going to be a Honda or a Hyundai or a Kia or a Lexus or a Mercedes. I'm not really concerned about what brand is going to do that. I just want one that does it the best, and I'll cross over to any of them. Which one's going to solve my problems? And this is where we get to that sales point rather than that aura of mysticism, because they need to have the proper pieces in place to get me a turnover to be a purchaser of that service, whether a computer, a car, or a law firm. So again, hold your head high for the fact that you are an attorney and you help people, but just know that real marketing comes far out of that aura of mysticism, and it does collide with this boulder of sales, this hard feature of sales. And you do need to do things like follow up. You do need to lead generate. You do need to have inbound. You do need to have like people who are good on the phone as a salesperson. Some of you may already know this, but frankly, if you're this far, I honestly think that either you're still a little bit conflicted about this, or you're just happy to hear someone who's telling the truth about something like this, who's breaking down some of that mysticism and saying it's okay for it to be over here in the sales space rather than over here in the just brand recognition space. That's fine, because actually, if we do the work over here, here's the real secret. If you made it this far, you get to get the real secret from this. If you've done the work over here on the hard sales side, you have a great process and you follow up with prospects, you have good phone scripting, you have solid lead generation, you've created what we call your standout advantage, then we can actually take a tour back over here into the brand area and use the tools of generating mass traffic that do feature a lot over here and use those to push more people into our sales funnel, into our prospect pipeline, as we call it. But it begins on this side. It begins on knowing it, on tracking it, on having a data-based, client-focused marketing strategy. Once we do that, then we get to open up the rest of the world, but it really does all begin right here.